Systems Thinking in Action, a strategic framework for addressing global inequality and economic fragmentation. Introduction. In an increasingly interconnected world, the complexity of global challenges is becoming more apparent. From widening economic divides to social unrest, the persistence of inequality and economic fragmentation remains one of the most pressing issues of our time. The wealth gap between nations and communities continues to grow, while fragmented global systems, political, economic, and social, undermine our collective ability to address shared problems like climate change, health crises, and poverty. To tackle these issues, we must adopt a new approach, one that recognizes the interconnected nature of global systems and the necessity of holistic, long-term solutions. This is where systems thinking comes into play. Systems thinking offers a way of understanding the world not in isolated parts, but as a web of interrelated components. This perspective allows us to see the larger picture and identify leverage points, areas where small changes can create significant impacts. By applying systems thinking, we can create a strategic framework that addresses the root causes of inequality and economic fragmentation, rather than just their symptoms. This exposition will explore how systems thinking can be used to design more effective solutions to these global challenges, offering a pathway towards sustainable, inclusive development. 2. Understanding systems thinking. At its core, systems thinking is a way of understanding problems by looking at how various elements within a system are interconnected. Unlike traditional approaches that tend to focus on individual components or short-term fixes, systems thinking emphasizes the relationships between parts, recognizing that changes in one area can have cascading effects throughout the system. Key principles of systems thinking include interconnectedness. Every element of a system is linked to others. A change in one part of the system affects the whole. Feedback loops. These can be positive, reinforcing, or negative, balancing, and they drive the behavior of the system over time. For example, positive feedback can amplify inequality, while negative feedback can help correct or stabilize systems. Leverage points. Identifying points in the system where a small intervention can lead to significant, lasting change. Systems thinkers seek to influence these leverage points to create sustainable impact. In the context of addressing global inequality, systems thinking moves beyond isolated interventions, proposing a more holistic approach that accounts for the broader societal, economic, and political contexts. It allows us to uncover the underlying drivers of inequality and economic fragmentation, offering the chance to address these root causes directly. 3. Global inequality and economic fragmentation. The world today is marked by two persistent phenomena: inequality and fragmentation. Global inequality is most evident in the disparities between the global north and global south, but it also manifests within countries, often along lines of class, race, gender, and access to resources. According to the World Bank, the richest 1% of the population holds more wealth than the poorest half of humanity. This growing wealth gap is a significant barrier to global development, with the poorest often excluded from basic resources such as quality education, healthcare, and financial services. Economic fragmentation refers to the way in which the global economy is divided along national, regional, and even sectoral lines. Despite increasing globalization, many countries remain locked in unequal trade relationships, with developing nations primarily exporting raw materials while importing finished goods. This cycle of economic dependency hinders long-term development as countries are unable to add value to their own resources or diversify their economies. The causes of these challenges are systemic in nature. The global economic system, with its complex trade networks, financial flows, and governance structures, perpetuates inequalities through mechanisms like trade imbalances, debt cycles, and unequal access to technology. The fragmented political landscape further exacerbates these issues, as national interests often overshadow collective action on global challenges like climate change, migration, and conflict resolution. This content is brought to you by Bobby Giggs. Promote your brand here and reach a wide audience across platforms like YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Follow the links in the description to get started. IV, applying systems thinking to address these challenges. Analyzing the systems at play. Systems thinking allows us to map the interconnected systems that contribute to inequality and fragmentation. These include economic systems, trade agreements, global supply chains, labor markets, and financial institutions; political systems, governance structures, international diplomacy, and national sovereignty versus global cooperation; social systems, education, healthcare, digital access, and social safety nets. By viewing these systems holistically, we can identify how changes in one system can have ripple effects across others. For example, investing in education systems in developing countries not only boosts individual opportunities, but also strengthens local economies, enhances political stability, and creates more equitable trade relations. Strategic framework for solutions. Systems thinking helps identify leverage points in each of these systems where small, strategic interventions can create lasting change. Below are key leverage points for addressing global inequality and economic fragmentation. Education and skill development. A focus on global education reform, particularly in underserved regions, can increase access to high-quality learning, build human capital, and empower people to contribute to more diversified economies. Initiatives such as global digital literacy programs and vocational training can bridge the technological divide and prepare a workforce for the jobs of the future. Bridging the digital divide. Expanding access to technology and the internet can create new economic opportunities, especially for marginalized communities. Initiatives that provide internet access in remote areas or low-income urban centers can support everything from online education to digital entrepreneurship. Inclusive trade policies. Reforming global trade systems to ensure fair trade and reduce the dependency of developing countries on raw material exports can lead to more balanced economic growth. This could involve enhancing trade agreements that prioritize local value addition and sustainable practices. Strengthening global cooperation. Effective solutions to global issues like climate change, pandemics, and migration require cooperation across national borders. Systems thinking encourages the development of multilateral frameworks that foster cooperation between nations while balancing the needs of individual states with the collective good. Practical examples. Countries and organizations are already applying systems thinking to tackle inequality and fragmentation. Brazil's Bolsa Familia program. This conditional cash transfer initiative uses a systems-based approach to combat poverty by linking social welfare to education and healthcare access. The African Union's Continental Free Trade Area, AfCFTA, aiming to reduce trade barriers across African nations, AfCFTA takes a systems approach to regional economic integration, fostering collaboration and reducing dependency on external markets. Challenges and limitations. While systems thinking offers a powerful framework for addressing global challenges, it is not without its difficulties. Key barriers include political resistance. Governments often prioritize short-term political goals over long-term systemic solutions, making it difficult to implement wide-reaching reforms. Global power imbalances. Wealthy, developed nations have more influence over global institutions, making it hard to create policies that are truly equitable. Complexity and oversimplification. Systems thinking can be overwhelming due to the complexity of global issues. It's easy to oversimplify problems or propose solutions that don't fully account for the nuances of different regions and communities. A vision for the future. The path forward requires visionary leadership, leaders who are not only well-versed in systems thinking, but also committed to long-term inclusive development. These leaders will need to foster collaboration across borders, sectors, and disciplines to find solutions that address the root causes of inequality. Integrate systems thinking into education, ensuring that future leaders are equipped with the tools to understand and solve complex, interconnected problems. Empower local communities to take ownership of their own development by ensuring that solutions are not imposed from the top down, but are co-created with the people they are meant to serve. Conclusion. In conclusion, systems thinking provides the strategic framework necessary to address global inequality and economic fragmentation. By recognizing the interconnected nature of global systems, we can move beyond piecemeal solutions and begin to craft more holistic, sustainable interventions. The challenge ahead is immense, but with the right leadership, collaboration, and focus on leverage points, we have the tools to create a more equitable and unified world.